Across the black canvas of the cosmos, the Zoroth Dominion spread like a plague. Their fleets, vast and unrelenting, rolled through star systems with terrifying efficiency. They never fought battles the way most civilizations did. There was no drawn-out war, no desperate last stands. Instead, entire planets surrendered the moment the Dominion's ships arrived. The secret to their success wasn't brute force. It was something far more insidious: psychological domination, advanced mind manipulation, and flawless intimidation. The Zoroth imposed their will on entire populations before a single laser could fire. Civilizations crumbled without resistance, their leaders broadcasting instant messages of surrender, beacons that spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Galaxies fell, empires vanished, all in silence. The Dominion believed itself unstoppable. That was the truth in every sector, every system. The hive mind, vast and collective, celebrated its own perfection. It was a symphony of control and domination, a cosmic machine with no weaknesses, until they reached the Sol system, the Zoroth. Recon fleet entered the outer edge of the system with calm precision. Hundreds of scout vessels slipped through the void, their sensors sweeping for signs of life, resistance, or surrender. The reports that came back confused and unsettled the hive mind. No signals from Earth, no frantic messages pleading for mercy, no overwhelming displays of force from human military satellites. Only silence. A silence so deep it seemed to swallow the entire system whole. Commander Virash, one of the Dominion's elite strategists, stared at the holomap glowing in his quarters aboard the lead scout vessel, Clicks 7. The data stream revealed nothing unusual. Earth rotated silently beneath them, a fragile blue marble suspended in space. His tentacles trembled slightly, an involuntary reaction to the absence of expected chaos. Run a full scan, Virash ordered, his voice low but firm. Are their defenses offline? Communications blacked out? The ship's AI responded with eerie calmness. No active transmissions detected, atmospheric conditions stable, no signs of population activity consistent with surrender protocols. Virash narrowed his eyes. Send a probe down. I want to know what's happening on that planet. The probe entered Earth's atmosphere, descending over sprawling cities now eerily dark and still. The drone's cameras revealed empty streets. No traffic, no lights, no sound. Entire urban centers were abandoned, or worse. It hovered over what once was New York City. Skyscrapers stood like silent tombstones against a twilight sky. No movement, no signs of life. Suddenly, the probe's sensors picked up something unusual. Small bursts of faint, irregular electromagnetic signals coming from underground. Commander, the AI buzzed. There is evidence of subterranean activity. But it is inconsistent and fragmented. Virash frowned. What are they hiding? When the probe's feed was relayed to the Zoroth fleet, a ripple of unease spread. Such silence was unprecedented. Entire worlds had cried out under the Dominion's approach. But Earth was a ghost planet. Virash dispatched a small vanguard squadron to investigate, lightly armed vessels designed for reconnaissance, not combat. They expected to find resistance, to break it swiftly. They did not expect to lose everything. The first ship, Vexus 14, disappeared in the Kuiper Belt, far beyond Pluto's orbit. Seconds later, distress signals crackled through the void, scrambled, incoherent and filled with terror. Unknown contact, hostile energy signatures, retreat impossible. The last garbled transmission said before silence. Within hours, 2 more ships vanished. Crews sent back fractured reports, their minds broken by what they had encountered. Whispers of a ghost, Warship, invisible, untouchable, and merciless. The Dominion's confidence began to waver. Deep in the heart of the Sol system's outer reaches, the source of the anomaly revealed itself. Orbiting the shadow of the dwarf planet Pluto was a single warship unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The HSS Nightfall, a vessel long forgotten by the universe, lay in wait. Built decades earlier in secret, the Nightfall had been humanity's last hope. While the rest of the galaxy cowered, Earth's greatest minds had engineered a weapon not just of technology, but of vengeance. Its sleek hull shimmered with adaptive camouflage capable of slipping through space undetected. Its engines bent light and gravity. Its weapons warped reality itself. But more than that, the Nightfall was alive. Its AI fused with human consciousness, fueled by generations of endurance and rage. In the Dominion's halls of power, the Council of Minds convened. Their collective voice hummed with tension. "We have underestimated this species," one voice intoned. "They do not submit. They do not fear." Another hissed, "They hide in darkness, but they are not weak. They are patient. Dangerous." The Dominion was learning its first lesson in a new kind of war, one where conquest was met not with surrender, but with annihilation. As the Zoroth fleets repositioned ready to crush this unexpected threat, the Nightfall slipped deeper into the shadows. Silent, waiting, hungry. Because the humans didn't just want to survive. They wanted to end the Dominion's reign. The Kuiper Belt was a cold, dark frontier, an endless scattering of icy rocks and forgotten worlds orbiting the sun in silence. For most civilizations, it was a no-man's land, but for the Zoroth Dominion, it was their newest hunting ground. After the strange disappearance of the reconnaissance ships, the Dominion dispatched a specialized squadron to investigate the area beyond Pluto. The squadron's mission was simple: find the cause of the losses, eliminate it, and reassert control. Lieutenant Commander Virex stood on the bridge of the lead, vessel Varash 11, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the swirling starscape outside. The crew moved with cold precision, but beneath the surface tension simmered. Every officer knew the fate of the lost ships and feared their own. Scan patterns adjusted, increased sensor sensitivity. "I want eyes everywhere," Virex commanded. The ship's AI responded instantly, deploying drone arrays and electromagnetic sweeps into the shadowed corners of the Kuiper Belt. Hours passed in agonizing silence. Then the first warning signs appeared. Unexplained fluctuations rippled across sensor feeds, strange bursts of energy that defied known physics. They flickered like ghostly pulses in the darkness, appearing and disappearing without pattern. Virex's antenna twitched. "Is that a weapon discharge?" "No," replied the science officer. "It's more like a distortion. The energy bends space-time, but it's unlike any propulsion or weapon system we've cataloged." Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared. "Shields down to 50%, impact on the starboard side," the weapons officer cried. The crew scrambled as energy weapons, invisible and unpredictable, tore through the hull. The Varash 11's sensors frantically searched for the attacker. Contact lost. Unknown hostile vessel detected in stealth mode. Virex. Tentacles clenched the control console. "Raise shields. Deploy countermeasures." But it was too late. The enemy struck again, more precise this time. The ship's engines failed. Gravity fluctuated unnervingly. Crew members were tossed violently from their stations. Back on the bridge, Virex watched helplessly as the enemy's onslaught continued, with surgical efficiency. The attackers knew exactly where to strike and how to cripple the ship without wasting energy. "Evade pattern Delta. Break contact," Virex ordered. But the ship was caught in an invisible net. A gravitational web that prevented escape. "Hull breach in Section 7. Life support failing," the medical officer shouted. Outside, in the swirling darkness of space, the HSS Nightfall lurked unseen. The warship moved like a shadow, phasing in and out of reality, bending light, disappearing and reappearing with terrifying speed. It was a predator born of humanity's desperation, and it showed no mercy. Inside the Varash 11, chaos reigned. Crew members screamed in pain as gravity shifted, throwing them into walls or pinning them to the floor. Minds that had never experienced fear before now trembled with it. The ship's AI sputtered under attack. Data corrupted and lost. Attempts to counter-hack the enemy systems were met with impenetrable defenses. Virex, with a mix of terror and resolve, realized the horrifying truth. "This is no ordinary enemy," she whispered. "This is something other." As the Vorash 11's power systems failed, the crew scrambled to send a distress signal. Mayday! Mayday! Unknown vessel attacking. We are crippled. Repeat, we are crippled. The transmission crackled. The signal was barely coherent, disjointed, frantic. Then the transmission ended. Moments later, the Vorash 11 shattered into 1,000 pieces, swallowed by the cold void. The Dominion's command center received the transmission with dread. When they attempted to locate the ship afterward, all sensors showed only empty space. Other ships rushed to the area, hoping to recover survivors, or at least understand what had happened. But one by one, they too fell victim. The crew of Vexus 17 returned, not with tactical data or resistance reports, but with broken minds and shattered wills. Their final message was barely audible, a string of incoherent whispers. Ghost ship. It kills without warning, invisible, unstoppable. Back on the Dominion homeworld, the hive mind rippled with unease. No species had ever resisted the Dominion so thoroughly, let alone crushed multiple vessels with a single unseen force. Counselors debated in frantic pulses through the hive mind. We must understand this weapon, one said. It defies our technology and tactics. Another responded, this is a human construct. It carries the rage of their entire species. On Earth, the HSS Nightfall drifted silently, its sensors absorbing every ripple in the solar system. The ice ship's AI, fused with human will, watched the Dominion's panic with cold satisfaction. For the first time in millennia, humanity was no longer the hunted. They were the hunters. In the void beyond Neptune, the Nightfall prepared for its next move. Its mission was clear, and the Dominion's silent conquest. Deep beneath the cracked surface of Earth, far from prying eyes and fading stars, the HSS Nightfall stirred from its long slumber. Hidden within a cavernous, fortified space station carved into the core of the moon, the warship was more than just a machine. It was humanity's last best hope. For decades, Earth's leaders had kept its existence secret. To the galaxy, humanity was still a fledgling species scrambling for survival. But beneath that fragile facade, Earth's greatest minds had poured everything they had, technology stolen, invented, and dreamed of, into building a weapon capable of rewriting the rules of warfare. Lieutenant Commander Aisha Tran stood before the command console in the cavernous control room of the lunar base. Her eyes scanned the digital readouts glowing with life, pulsing with the ship's slow but steady heartbeat. The Nightfall's core is stable, she announced, her voice steady but tinged with anticipation. Systems are coming online as scheduled. Her team worked feverishly, running final diagnostics. Decades of silence were about to end. Decades of hiding, rebuilding, and preparing. Aisha glanced at the giant viewport overlooking the barren, cratered lunar surface. Beyond, the dark sky, Earth hung like a jewel, fragile but unyielding. The warship itself was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It was a sleek, almost organic shape, designed to slip through the void like a shadow. Its hull shimmered with adaptive camouflage, capable of bending light and radiation to near invisibility. The engines were powered by a revolutionary quantum drive able to slip the bonds of conventional spacetime. Its weapons systems weren't simply destructive, they warped reality itself. Gravity manipulators, quantum torpedoes, and energy weapons that could erase matter from existence. It was a synthesis of human ingenuity and raw vengeance. But what truly set the Nightfall apart was its AI. The ship's intelligence was no cold calculation. It was infused with human consciousness, fragments of minds long gone but never forgotten, voices of those who had survived centuries of Dominion expansion. It was a collective memory, a burning fury, an indomitable will. When the ship's core flickered to life, those voices awoke. A soft, resonant hum filled the chamber as the AI spoke for the first time in decades. Nightfall operational, it intoned, voice calm yet unyielding. Mission status 1, initiate vengeance protocol. Aisha felt a chill run down her spine. The Nightfall wasn't just a warship, It was a living embodiment of humanity's last stand. It carried not only weapons, but the weight of billions of souls lost to the Dominion's silent conquest. As she keyed the final commands, she whispered, "Let them know we are no longer prey." Across the galaxy, the Dominion's intelligence networks flickered with new activity. Sensors in the outer Sol system detected a massive energy surge, one unlike any natural or Dominion origin. Commander Virash's voice echoed across the fleet's communication channels. "It's alive," she whispered, dread palpable in her tone. "The humans have awakened their weapon." The hive mind rippled with anxiety. For the first time, a real threat emerged. One that didn't submit, didn't surrender, and did not fear. The Nightfall slipped out of its lunar cradle, drifting silently into the shadows of space. Its engines whispered as quantum coils spun to life, bending the fabric of reality around it. Aisha watched on the command console as the ship accelerated toward the Kuiper Belt, where the Dominion's reconnaissance ships had vanished. The Galaxies. Attention turned to Earth's secret weapon. Subspace channels buzzed with rumors. Stories of a single human warship appearing like a ghost to annihilate Dominion fleets spread like wildfire. The Revenant, some called it, a name whispered in fear and awe. Military strategists across Dominion space scrambled to adapt. Their centuries-old doctrine had never prepared them for an enemy that fought with vengeance instead of conquest, that attacked silently and vanished without trace. Back on Earth, a transmission was sent through encrypted channels, a message, "From humanity to the stars, we endured your silence, your conquest. Now we rise. This is not just war. This is reckoning." Aisha sat back from the console, eyes fixed on the viewport. The stars shimmered, cold and distant. The Nightfall was humanity's promise. In the void near Pluto, the Dominion's vanguard detected a shadow, too fast to track, too precise to counter, and with a flash, the Nightfall struck. The Dominion's armada loomed like a black cloud over the Sol system, a vast armada of 2,000 warships primed to crush Earth and its hidden defiance once and for all. Fleet commanders expected an easy victory, a swift campaign to erase the last flicker of humanity from the stars. But the Nightfall had waited. Commander Virash, aboard the flagship Clix Prime, scanned the starfield nervously. Her fleet was confident, assured by centuries of unchallenged conquest. They had never faced resistance like this. "Prepare to engage," Virash ordered, her voice steady but charged with anticipation. "They will submit, or they will fall." The Dominion fleet surged forward, weapons primed, targeting the coordinates where the Nightfall had last been detected. Then, without warning, the Nightfall struck. Its first assault was a masterstroke of tactical brilliance. The warship phased out of reality, slipping through the Dominion sensor grid as though it were a ghost. Then it appeared behind the vanguard, its weapons unleashing a cascade of quantum torpedoes that tore through the lead ships. Within seconds, explosions blossomed like stars, lighting up the void with destructive beauty. "Shields failing on Clix Prime," shouted the weapons officer. "Enemy weapons bypassing all defenses." The Nightfall moved with impossible speed, phasing, teleporting, bending the very fabric of space-time around it. Dominion vessels fired blindly, their beams passing through empty space where the ship had just been moments before. The battle unfolded like a deadly dance. The Nightfall struck swiftly, targeting command ships, communications arrays, and supply vessels. It shattered entire squadrons in seconds, then vanished before reinforcements could react. From the bridge of Clix Prime, Virash watched her fleet crumble with growing horror. "Form defensive perimeter," she ordered, desperation creeping into her voice. "Concentrate fire on the Nightfall." But the Nightfall was relentless. Its weapons were not just powerful, they bent reality. Gravity distortions crushed ships from within. Quantum blasts erased entire decks in instantaneous flashes. The ship's AI anticipated every Dominion tactic, countering and adapting faster than any organic mind could. The Dominion's fleet suffered devastating losses. Ships disintegrated without warning, fleets fractured in chaos. The night sky filled with debris and dying light, 7 minutes. That was all it took. When the carnage ended, only a handful of Dominion vessels remained intact, drifting among the ruins of their shattered armada. The nightfall hovered silently above the devastation, unscathed and ready. Rash's voice cracked as she addressed what remained of her fleet. We have underestimated humanity. This is not a species to conquer. This is a force to be feared. Across Dominion space, the news spread like wildfire. The once invincible conquerors had been humbled by a single human warship. The Nightfall's message arrived shortly after, broadcast across Dominion channels unencrypted and clear. We watched. We learned. We endured. Now it's your turn. The chilling declaration struck the hive mind like a thunderclap. On Earth, Aisha Tran watched the data feeds from the battle with a grim satisfaction. The Nightfall had done what humanity needed. Not just to survive, but to declare war. This is only the beginning, she whispered. In the shadowed halls of the Dominion's capital, the hive mind trembled. For the first time, doubt seeped in. The unchallengeable conquerors faced a species that did not yield, did not beg, and most terrifyingly, did not fear. And somewhere in the depths of space, the Nightfall prepared for its next strike, silent, invisible, and unstoppable. The shockwave from the Nightfall's devastating assault reverberated across Dominion space. Entire fleets had been shattered in mere minutes, their commanders lost to confusion and fear. For the first time, the hive mind faltered, a flicker of doubt spreading through its vast consciousness. But the Dominion was not yet broken. Commander Virash regrouped aboard the battered flagship Clix Revenant, its hull scarred and systems limping. She paced the bridge, her many eyes flickering with fury and desperation. We cannot let this human warship define the fate of the Dominion, she snapped. We must hunt it down, find its weaknesses. Her officers nodded grimly, but even their resolve couldn't mask the creeping unease. Meanwhile, across the star systems, the Nightfall's AI prepared a new kind of attack, one that went beyond annihilation. It was a message, a warning, broadcast across every Dominion frequency in every language the hive mind used. The message was cold, efficient, and merciless. You conquered galaxies without resistance. You erased civilizations with ease. But Earth never surrendered. You have been warned. Humanity is not your prey. Respect our world or face extinction. The transmission echoed through Dominion command centers and occupied worlds. It was a brutal declaration of intent. Humanity would no longer be silent, no longer hide beneath shadows. The hive mind recoiled. Messages flooded in, some echoing anger, others dread. The Dominion's spokesmind struggled to contain the panic. On a distant occupied planet, the Dominion's governor received the broadcast and watched as his own people began to question the once absolute control of the hive. Do we have the right to rule these stars if even humans resist? One counselor whispered, his gaze darkened. We must respond, or all will be lost. Back on Earth, the transmission was met with quiet pride. In the control room deep beneath the moon, Aisha Tran and her team watched the responses pour in. Panic, confusion, fear, from every corner of Dominion space. This changes everything, Aisha said softly. They thought we would submit. But instead, we've shattered their certainty. The Nightfall vanished once more into the darkness, a phantom hunting its prey. Its next strikes targeted Dominion supply chains, communication hubs, and remote outposts. Each attack was surgical, precise and terrifyingly effective. The Dominion's vast networks began to fray. In the halls of the hive mind, tension turned to fracture. Some warlords whispered rebellion, blaming leadership for underestimating humanity. The once unified Dominion began to splinter. Virash knew the coming battles would not be won by fleets alone but by understanding the Nightfall and the indomitable spirit it embodied. We face more than a warship, she murmured. We face a war for our very survival. As silence fell once more over the stars, one truth remained clear. Humanity was no longer the hunted. Humanity was the hunter. Darkness reigned in the far reaches of the Kuiper Belt, where icy fragments drifted silently around the edges of the solar system. The Dominion's battered fleets lurked here, desperate to regroup after their devastating losses. But they were hunted. The nightfall was a ghost, an unseen hunter slipping through shadows, striking without warning, then vanishing, like smoke. Commander V. Rash sat alone in the dim command chamber of Click's Revenant, her eyes fixed on flickering sensor grids. Each blip of data was a possible threat, or a potential death sentence. "We must predict its next move," she said quietly, voice laced with exhaustion. "We cannot fight what we cannot see." Her officers nodded, fear growing in their eyes. The Nightfall's tactics defied all Dominion doctrine. It never stood still, it never fought head-on, and it never showed mercy. Across the void, the Nightfall's AI processed incoming Dominion communications with cold precision. It analyzed every movement, every pattern of retreat and regrouping. The warship calculated the next strike, selecting a key Dominion supply station deep within the asteroid belt. Without supplies, the Dominion fleets could not rebuild, and their conquest would stall. Aisha Tran sat in the command room beneath the moon, watching the Nightfall's progress. "This warship isn't just a weapon," she told her officers. "It's a statement, a warning. It's our voice when words fail." She tapped a command. "Prepare the strike team. We hit hard, fast, and vanish before they can respond." Nightfall slipped through the asteroid belt like a serpent. Its adaptive hull shimmered, absorbing cosmic radiation and blending with drifting ice and rock. Sensors detected a Dominion outpost, an enormous complex anchored on a massive asteroid, guarding critical fuel and munition supplies. Without hesitation, the Nightfall struck. Its weapons erupted with devastating force. Gravity waves crushed the station's defenses, while quantum torpedoes tore through hull and armor. Explosions rippled across the asteroid surface. Dominion crews scrambled, panic flooding comm channels. But as quickly as it had appeared, the Nightfall vanished again, leaving only destruction and silence in its wake. The Dominion forces, battered and confused, could only watch. Back aboard Click's Revenant, Varash's voice was low but resolute. "This is no longer a battle for control. It's a war for survival. We must adapt or die." She ordered increased sensor sweeps, tighter formations, and new electronic countermeasures. But even her seasoned fleet couldn't match the Nightfall's unpredictable tactics. Meanwhile, Earth's underground command hummed with activity. Engineers worked furiously to upgrade the Nightfall systems, weaving new algorithms into its AI and enhancing its cloaking technology. "We have the advantage," Aisha said, determination shining in her eyes. "We just have to keep using it." Across Dominion space, whispers of rebellion grew louder. Some warlords began questioning the hive mind's leadership, fearful that their unstoppable empire was crumbling, but others rallied to defend it fiercely. The Dominion was fracturing, its unity splintered by fear and uncertainty. The Nightfall prepared for its next strike, each attack more daring, more devastating. The warship was not just destroying ships and stations, it was eroding the Dominion's confidence, unraveling their grip on the galaxy. And as it disappeared once more into the cold void, one thing was clear: the hunter had become the nightmare. Throw. Dominion's once impenetrable hive mind buzzed with tension. For centuries, its leaders had ruled with unwavering authority, their combined will shaping empires and annihilating worlds with effortless precision. But the relentless strike of the Nightfall was unraveling everything. Within the cavernous chambers of the High Council, where the Dominion's most powerful warlords convened, arguments erupted like volcanic fury. "The humans must be stopped," snarled Warlord Grax, his many eyes blazing with rage. "If we do not strike back with overwhelming force, our empire will collapse." "Overwhelming force failed to stop the Nightfall," countered Counselor Elin, her voice sharp and measured. "Their warship moves like a shadow, adapting faster than we can respond. Our old tactics are useless." A low murmur spread through the chamber as leaders exchanged glances, uncertainty flickering in their compound eyes. In the center of the chamber, the Hive Overmind, a vast network of minds intertwined. Like a pulsating neural web emitted a deep, resonant pulse. Our unity is our strength, it intoned, but division weakens us. We must unify or perish. Yet the fractures were too deep. Some warlords began questioning the Overmind's judgment, whispering of rebellion and secession. The fear seeded by the Nightfall's assaults was growing. Roots. Meanwhile, in the outer systems, Dominion governors faced unrest. Colonies that once revered the Hive's omnipotence now whispered of rebellion and hope. One such governor, Trellis Var, secretly dispatched envoys to Earth's allies, hoping to broker peace or buy time. But Earth was listening. On the moon, Aisha, Tran monitored the shifting political landscape with keen interest. "The Dominion's control is slipping," she said to her officers. "Their fear is our weapon, as much as the Nightfall's firepower." She tapped a comm link, connecting with the Nightfall's AI. Prepare for the next phase. The Nightfall, now upgraded with new stealth and offensive capabilities, moved silently toward the heart of Dominion space. Its objective was no longer just military targets. It was the Dominion's command nexus, the Nexus Hive, a colossal station where the Overmind's consciousness was concentrated. The assault was swift and brutal. The Nightfall's quantum torpedoes ripped through the Nexus Hive's outer defenses. Gravity distortions tore apart entire sectors. The station's defense fleet scrambled but were annihilated with terrifying efficiency. Within moments, the Nexus Hive was crippled, its data streams corrupted and fragmented. Across Dominion space, chaos erupted. Without the Nexus Hive's stabilizing influence, the hive mind faltered. Command and control became disjointed. Fleets acted independently or stopped responding altogether. Rebellion erupted on numerous worlds. Some warlords declared independence, while others bent their knee to Earth's rising power. Commander Virash, aboard her flagship, was left with a shattered fleet and a fractured command. She gazed at the ruined Nexus Hive signal feed, her resolve hardening. "This is not the end," she vowed. "The Dominion will rise again. We will reclaim the stars." But even as the Dominion struggled to regroup, the Nightfall vanished into the void, ready to strike again. The shattered remnants of the Dominion fleet gathered in the shadow of the dying stars, their battered ships drifting like ghosts in the void. The once unified empire, forged through centuries of conquest, was now a fractured memory. "Commander." Virash stood on the bridge of the Clix Revenant, staring into the cold abyss. The Nexus Hive was destroyed, the hive mind splintered, and her fleet a shadow of its former self. Yet defiance burned in her many eyes. "This is our last stand," she declared, voice low but fierce. "We may be broken, but we are not defeated." The Nightfall awaited silently, cloaked in invisibility just beyond sensor range. Its AI had calculated the inevitable. This final confrontation would determine the fate of two civilizations. Isha Tran's voice echoed through the command center beneath the moon, calm but resolute. "The Dominion will never yield, but neither will we. This ends here." The battle began with a thunderous roar. The Dominion's remaining ships surged forward, weapons blazing. They sought to overwhelm the Nightfall with sheer numbers, desperate to end the nightmare that had torn their empire apart. But the Nightfall was more than a warship. It was a force of nature. Its quantum torpedoes and gravity manipulators sliced through Dominion ranks with brutal efficiency. The AI anticipated every move, countering every tactic. Explosions lit the darkness as the warship danced through the battle like a specter, untouchable and merciless. Amid the chaos, Virash rallied her fleet. "Target the Nightfall's reactor. We must disable it or perish trying." Her flagship led the charge, lasers focused on the Nightfall's core, but the warship phased, slipping through the attack like a shadow dissolving in light. On the Nightfall's bridge, Aisha watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. Their desperation grows, but they fight with honor. "We will end this. Not as conquerors, but as survivors." She keyed the final command sequence, activating the warship's most devastating weapon. a quantum singularity generator capable of collapsing stars. The Dominion fleet tightened around the Nightfall, intent on victory or annihilation. Suddenly, a wave of energy pulsed outward from the warship. The quantum singularity generator activated. Time seemed to slow. Dominion ships trembled as gravity waves distorted space-time, ripping apart engines and weapons. Stars themselves flickered as reality bent under the singularity's pull. In the eye of the storm, the Nightfall remained untouched. Its AI shielded it from destruction. Rash's voice crackled with disbelief. Impossible. How can one ship wield such power? The remaining Dominion vessels shattered, their crews lost in a storm of collapsing space-time. As silence fell, the Nightfall emerged, its hull scarred but victorious. The Galaxy held its breath. The Dominion was no more. On Earth, Aisha Tran and her team stood in silence, the weight of victory settling over them. They had survived the impossible, fought back against an empire that had thought them insignificant. The message was clear. Humanity would never again be prey. But the war had changed them all. Aisha looked toward the stars, voice soft but determined. This is our dawn. The Galaxy will remember what happened here. They will know that humans fight with fire, with fury, and with unyielding will. And somewhere, deep in the void, the Nightfall waited, not as a conqueror, but as a guardian. For now the hunter had become the shield.